It's in here. Oh, there it is right there. What?
What?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's a... Hey, what's up? Jake and Ryder here from the Wildlife. What I want to show you is going to be a compilation of different metal detecting that me and Ryder have done on the property here. Say hi.
Hi.
Now that I have a lot of these items cleaned up and have been able to research them and see what they actually are, I want to show you guys the clips as we find them. We didn't find really a lot of any kind of like valuable treasure or anything like that yet, but just a lot of cool historical things that kind of date the property. The house is supposed to be built in 1900, so what we'll find, and it used to be a farm, like a full running farm. We have not even touched the tip of the iceberg of metal detecting this property, so who knows what we're gonna find in the future. I mean, we could find anything here, but I just wanted to show you a little video of some of the cool things we found so far. It's a bell. Oh, cool.
A Christmas bell.
It's a croidal, or what do they call it? A
sleigh bell?
No, a bell.
A Christmas bell.
It starts with a C. I forget what it's called. It's a bell. Has design on it. See the holes? And these crotal bells would have been on a leather strap or whatever that would go around the horse's neck. So back in the day, when you're riding down the road here, if you're just riding horses and wagons, and you might not even hear a sleigh and a horse coming in the dark or like foggy conditions or things like that. So these bells would let people know you were coming. This particular bell right here is the way it's decorated, and what I've found, it looks to be late 1800s, maybe early 1900, but right around that time the house was built. Should be right. Shouldn't be too deep. It's a pretty good signal. Right there it is.
Oh.
What?
Is that a gun? Or a bullet?
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Can anyone get me
I thought this was probably one of the coolest things. I thought if you look at it, it looks like a bullet. I thought it was a bullet that had been decorated, which I was really excited about, but the more I looked at it, I realized it wasn't a bullet. Let me get this kind of damp here so you can see. Manufactured by Schrader's Son Incorporated, Brooklyn, New York, USA. Supplied to the M&M Co. If you look at this right here, look at this old car. Super old style car. Has a crank on the front of the motor. So yeah, that's an old car. Old Model A or something. Or Model T or whatever. Got a guy checking the tire pressure of that tire on it. This is a tire pressure gauge. You put that on the valve stem, and that part comes out. It's froze up because it's been under the ground, but that would shoot out and tell you the tire has markings on it and tells you the pressure that you have in your tire. I have never seen one of those, had no idea that's how they used to make them. It says patent July 6th, 09, which is 1909. March 23rd, 16 on it. So from 1909 to 1916 is when this particular kind was being made, apparently. We're getting a signal right here. It's like jumping all around. Don't know what it is, though. Hang on there.
Oh.
What is it?
Whoa! It's from like a horseshoe.
I think it's a gear off of something.
We found a gear.
I know. Yeah, it's a gear off of something. An old bicycle gear or something.
Yeah, it looks like a bicycle gear.
Old square nail in there too. That's pretty cool. And this, the sprocket me and Ryder found, this is a old bicycle sprocket, a rear sprocket that your chain would ride on. Still has some ball bearings you can see inside there. And I can tell that it's an older bicycle because the design of this sprocket, how it's gapped, that's called a skip tooth sprocket. And newer bicycles don't have that. That's an old school design of the sprocket. Sometimes when people buried mason jars, they buried money in them. So, probably not, but maybe. But look. So this was coming up like a coin. So here's one we dug up earlier. It read like a coin. It actually has glass on the top of it. It's an old school mason jar lid. I can see a lid already. That's the lid to another mason jar. It says right on it, Ball. It's a Ball mason jar lid. Has glass in the lid. It's the same as this kind. That says Ball on it too. We ended up finding several of these mason jar lids. This one's pretty complete, which is really neat. You can see on it, it says Ball right on it. And it has glass insert inside of it. A lot of times they date these Ball mason jars by the way the word Ball is stamped or written on the jar. So on this lid, it'd be from like the 30s to the 60s. We found several mason jar lids throughout the property. The previous owners, we were talking about it one day about canning and gardening like we're wanting to do out here. And he told me about how his parents always gardened and canned. So some of these mason jar lids may very well be from their canning that they did. These were just out back under the ground. It just shows the history of people have always gardened on this property and preserved their own food. I think that's a really neat way of life that is kind of somewhat being lost in some circles. I'm just really glad that I have the opportunity to start doing this stuff, and I just like that. I can really relate to this. I mean, this just shows me, you know, I'm not the first person on this property to have this idea about keeping my own food. It's really neat. I think that's kind of cool.